Hey guys, Austin here, and in today's video, I just have a simple question and discussion I want to go over. Has Ken Holland done enough for the Oilers? I've seen some reports. I saw a video of Mark Spector come out saying that Ken Holland has done everything that he can to help this team win a Stanley Cup, and there's been a lot of discourse about it. Of course, a lot of people in oil country do not like Mark Spector or his writing or his content or the fact that he goes after young players, but this video is not about what your thoughts on Mark Spector are. They are on Ken Holland. So I decided to break this down. I'm going to show what Ken Holland's record is as general manager. I'm going to go over his major signings. I'm going to go over some of the major trades. I'm going to go over what is still needed on this team, in my opinion, to push them over the top to become a Stanley Cup contender. And then I will present the question at the end of the video again and determine if he has in fact done enough or not for Edmonton. So he took over in May of 2019 for the Oilers. He became general manager and president of hockey ops. In 2019-2020, the COVID shortened season, the Oilers had a 37-25-8 record, which is a .585 points percentage, and they lost in the NHL qualifying round to Chicago. In 2020-2021, the Oilers had a 35-19-2 record. They were playing in the North Division, so it was just all the Canadian teams. They didn't play any American teams that year because of COVID, and they lost in the first round of Winnipeg. They got swept in 4 straight, and then that was also the series where Darnell Nurse played over 60 minutes in a playoff game. So yeah, that was fun. In 2021-2022, the Oilers finished with a record of 49-27-6, good for a .634 points percentage. They lost in the conference finals to the Colorado Avalanche, who went on to win the Stanley Cup. Dave Tippett that season was fired after a 23-18-3 start. Jay Woodcroft took over. The team went on an unbelievable run, and then they got kind of slowed down once they reached the conference finals. They could not keep up with Colorado's speed or skill. In 2022-2023, the Oilers had a record of 50-23-9, which is good for a .665 points percentage, and they lost in the second round to the Vegas Golden Knights, also the eventual Cup champions. And then so far this season, at the time of making this video, the Oilers are 8-12-1, and Jay Woodcroft was fired after a 3-9-1 start to the year. Now, the NHL is a results-based business. It's a results-based league. When we look at the record of the Oilers, the amount of games that they've won, their winning percentage, you can look at that as an argument for, you know what, Ken Holland has done enough for the Oilers. He's done his job. The team has performed. They just haven't won a Stanley Cup, and that's more on the players and coaching than it is the general manager. My counter argument to that would be, I don't think the team has the success that they do without Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid putting up production that nobody has seen since the 80s and 90s with like Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. But again, this is results based. So I guess if you want to give Ken Holland credit, yes, the team has been winning and he has been the general manager that's overseen this. And this is so much better than what we had under Peter Chiarelli and Steve Tambellini before Chiarelli and Craig McTavish and all, you know, even Kevin Lowe, who's regarded as a good GM in Edmonton. The team's never really performed this well. So I guess there is credit there for Ken Holland, but I also give equal credit to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for dragging this team and maybe producing more wins than they would normally get if they were missing one or the other. Now let's take a look at some of the major signings that Ken Holland has made. Now, these signings, I basically just listed every signing that was $3 million a year or more. I consider that to be a major signing. So Darnell Nurse, 8 years, $74 million. This video is not about Darnell Nurse. We all know the discourse around his contract. I'm just stating what he was given for this video. Zach Hyman, 7 years, $38.5 million. Evander Kane, 4 years, $20.5 million. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 8 years, $41 million. He's going to end his career here, it looks like. Very, very happy to see. We love the Nuge. Jack Campbell, 5 years, $25 million. Tyson Barrie was given 3 years, $13.5 million before he was traded. Cody Ceci, 4 years, $13 million. And Zach Kassian, 4 years, $12.8 million. Now, out of all of these signings, there's only a couple that haven't really worked out for Edmonton. Zach Kassian was an absolute failure right from the beginning. I think most people knew that contract just didn't make sense. I liked Kassian. He brought an element to the team that you know, even though I like analytics, I do like old school. I like toughness. I like guys that can hit and play greasy. But he went on like a 15-game heater with playing with Connor McDavid, and then they gave him a big contract. So not great. Cody Ceci has been fine. I don't think he's been nearly as bad as I thought he would be. It's still a bit too much money in my opinion, and I think he is asked to play more than he should, but I'll get into that later. Tyson Barrie, for the production that he put up, the point production, this contract was fine. He was maybe slightly overpaid, but if we're going to knock Bouchard for his defensive game, but be happy with the point production, I will do the same with Tyson Barrie. His defensive game was not great. In his last year with Edmonton, before he was traded for Ekholm, they were really limiting his minutes. He was on the third pair for the most part. He was playing 13 minutes a night. They were sheltering Tyson Barrie, but he was a good power play quarterback. And then Jack Campbell, of course, we all know what's going on with Jack Campbell. He is currently in the AHL. It is just year 2 of his contract. Ken Holland went out. He needed a goalie. He paid big money for a goalie that it wasn't really established. Campbell, he was with the Maple Leafs. It was his first year as a bona fide starter, had a really bad second half of the season. And then in free agency, Ken Holland gave him a big contract, and that just clearly has not worked out. If you want to give Ken Holland credit for trying and, going big fish hunting, sure, I guess you can do that. But I think a little bit better player evaluation and pro scouting would have went a long way to prevent Jack Campbell from being signed. Nugent Hopkins, good deal, good money. I think this is fine. The tail end of the contract could be ugly, but they're in win now mode. Same with Evander Kane, 4 years, $20.5 million. I have my issues with the risk that they took on a contract like this, considering the shooting percentage that he was on when he signed it. But he has been able to maintain production, even despite the wrist injury last season. This year, he has looked back to form. He's probably going to score 35 plus goals. He's looked very, very good this season. He's engaged every night, leads the team in hits as well. So happy to see for Kaner. Zach Hyman, again, this is a contract where right now it is so good. This is a value contract. The tail end of the contract, just with Zach Hyman's style of play, being a net front presence, physical presence, it could be ugly, but overall, you cannot argue with the outcome or results so far. So Hyman's a good signing. And then Darnell Nurse, I mean, again, I'm not getting into the Darnell Nurse stuff. Whatever your opinion is on that, we'll leave it at that. But those are his major signings. Now let's get into Ken Holland's major trades that he's made since he took over. First things first, we had Lucic for James Neal. Then we had Kyle Brodziak and a 4th rounder for Mike Green, Sam Gagner and 2 seconds for Andreas Athanasiou, and a 5th rounder for Tyler Ennis. This was all in the COVID-shortened 2019-2020 season. It was pretty obvious Ken Holland was going all in this year with trades. Pretty much all of these backfired. None of them worked out. I mean, you could argue the James Neal one worked out because at least he scored some goals for us. So, I mean, there was that. Caleb Jones and then Caleb Jones and a 3rd round pick for Duncan Keith. The value of this trade was dumb. Duncan Keith ended up playing pretty well for the most part in Edmonton. Even as an analytics guy, I didn't mind what he brought to the team. It was just the cost that they gave up for a player like Duncan Keith. Duncan Keith only wanted to go to Edmonton. He had a no trade clause. Ken Holland had all the leverage in the world and still paid assets for him. So in terms of the value of the trade, not good. In terms of the actual result of the trade, Edmonton went to the conference finals. Duncan Keith was a good mentor for Evan Bouchard. So there was positives there, despite the value of the actual trade on paper not being great. That summer, Ethan Bear was traded for Warren Fogle. William Lagesson, a 2nd rounder, and a 7th rounder were traded for Brett Kulak the year after. Tyson Barrie and Reed Schaefer, plus a 1st rounder, a 4th rounder, and Matthias Ekholm, and a 6th rounder. So Barrie, Schaefer, 2 picks for Matthias Ekholm, and a 6th rounder. That was last season's humongous acquisition for Edmonton at the trade deadline. They also acquired Nick Bjugstad. I didn't include that trade here for some reason, but they did acquire Nick Bjugstad, who did play a prominent role in the 3rd line center spot for Edmonton in the playoffs. And then this summer, Kyler Yamamoto and the rights to Klim Kostin were traded for future considerations. This was a cap dump for Edmonton. Kostin didn't want to re-sign with the Oilers. So he was cap dumped to the Detroit Red Wings. So those are the major trades that Ken Holland has made. And now that we know there's his signings and trades, let's take a look at what the current team needs by importance. So number one important need right now, the team needs a number one goaltender. This is probably the most important thing Edmonton needs at the moment. A number one goalie. Stuart Skinner has not rounded into form that you would hope that he would have after his season last year. He still looks shaky in the net. He should be platooning with another starting goaltender and being a backup. Number two, a top 4 right defense upgrade on Cody Ceci. Now, again, this is not me hating on Cody Ceci. It's just the reality. If you want to be a Stanley Cup contending team, Cody Ceci should not be on your top pair with Darnell Nurse. I think Evan Bouchard is very good. Cody Ceci is good in a second or third pairing role. And I should mention Bouchard's second pairing role as well. I don't want Bouchard in the first pairing role. He can't take on the shutdown roles. So we need a top 4 right defense upgrade. Optimally, you get a top 2 right defense upgrade, but those are pretty hard to get. And a lot of teams are not just giving up their, a top 2 right defenseman. So, but that is a major need for Edmonton. The next thing they need is a top 6 scoring winger. They need someone that can jump into the top 6 and help produce some goals and points. Connor Brown was hope that Connor Brown was going to be able to step into that role this season. He has not been able to find his game coming off of surgery and injuries. So Connor Brown, he's still trying to find his game. Ignoring the money that Ken Holland gave him at the moment, Brown has not done what he was brought in to do. So Edmonton needs his top 6 scoring winger. Kane and Hyman have been producing, and then of course they play Nuge and Draisaitl on the wing fairly frequently. But we need another top 6 scoring winger. And then the fourth thing that we need is a bottom 6 scoring winger. We need someone in the bottom 6 to start producing some goals. I know Sam Gagner has 3 or 4 goals this season, but he's a healthy scratch more nights than he's not for some reason. I know Ryan McLeod has not been producing any goals this season. He is a centerman though, and I do like his two-way game. So yeah, we will see what he can do here in his last year as GM. That is Ken Holland, I should mention. Current major trade chips, in my opinion, the Oilers should be putting the 2024 first and second round picks on the block, their 2025 first round pick, and their 2026 first and second round picks. These should all be on the block if you are looking to acquire big upgrades for the team. And then the players that I would have on the trading block, players that I think you could get a return for, combined with picks and maybe other prospects: Philip Broberg, Xavier Bourgault, Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod, Warren Fogle, Matthias Janmark, and Brett Kulak. There are other players that you might have to include in a trade, but Edmonton's big guns have no movement clauses and they make big money, so moving those contracts out might be more difficult. Teams might want to bite on potential young prospects like Bourgault. Broberg hasn't established himself at the NHL level for the Oilers yet. Dylan Holloway has had injury troubles. Ryan McLeod has been struggling with goal scoring. Again, this isn't me saying we should trade them, but these are the players and picks that I would expect to be in play if Ken Holland were to make big moves. So, looking at all of that, all the information that we've just been given, has Ken Holland done enough for the Oilers? And should Edmonton sell the farm to win this season, or hold off and wait for the new general manager to do a quick one summer retool? I want to know what you guys think. Sorry that this video was kind of rambly and a little bit all over the place. Just want to thank you for your support as always. If you liked the video, make sure you hit like. If you really liked it, make sure you hit subscribe. We have just passed 600 subscribers. You guys are absolutely insane. Thank you so much. I love all of you. Go Oilers. We'll see you in the next one.